Weezer, they need no introduction, do they? Except for me, because I don't really listen to them. So for the first time ever, I'm going to go through every single album and give my opinion on it because someone might care, I guess. Catchy, thunderous, and incredibly dorky, with its sludgy guitars and relatable lyrics, it set me in mind of a lot of the grunge bands that Weezer were apparently an alternative to, as by '94 that movement was close to dying out, thanks to heroin. It's not my favourite thing ever, but I did come away with a few favourites, namely When the World Has Turned Around and Left Me Here, Pinkerton, much darker and much more horny than the previous album, with some real cringy lyrics to be honest, but I actually think I preferred this one over Blue in some parts, and I've come away with a few new favourites, namely Pink Triangle and The Good Life. Green, real sugary, and once again, it feels like a change of pace, meaning each album so far has their own unique identity, which I do like. And the immediacy of this one really helped my smooth brain enjoy it. Also, nicely short. You know, it's probably fatigue doing this, but at this point Weezer's becoming a bit tiresome, despite me liking a couple of songs, for instance Take Control, and I enjoy the riffs a lot more on this one, but apart from that, yeah, really nothing stood out to me on this one, and this is probably the weakest one, at least for me. Make Believe. One of the most boring albums I've ever had the misfortune of listening through. The instrumental of Perfect Situation was nice, but aside from that, this feels very tiresome, dull, depressing, and kind of half-finished, and it made me close to junking this whole idea of going through the entire Weezer catalogue because of an album like this early on in the discography. Well, at least it was entertaining, and therefore it's light years better than Make Believe, but that's not exactly an endorsement. The lyrics were not depressing and rather sort of fake sounding like they were on Make Believe. This time round they're just odd or don't make any sense, but I really appreciate the experimental edge that this one had, and once again I had fun with it. Oh boy, Ratitude. This wasn't exactly autopilot as it was letting the dogs handle the steering. The less said about this one the better, but what I will say is Can't Stop Partying was cringe. There's no other way around it, just cringe. Hurley. Literally the definition of just a middleman. It's fine, samey, Ruling Me's a decent song, but apart from that nothing really stood out to me. It's fine. Everything Will Be Alright in the End. Actually quite decent, if a little too blatantly and obviously a case of just Rivers and co. trying to go back to the well of the band's origins to try and regain some of that old magic from the Blue album, and I see what people like in this, but for me it didn't really click because I'm not as on board with the whole Weezer style. White. Actually a personal favourite so far. I didn't know what it was about the Beach Boys summertime vibe that got me, but it clearly came from a place of passion, which seems absent since, well, Pinkerton. Girl, We Got a Good Thing is easily my favourite 21st Century Weezer song. Yeah, I found myself liking the majority of the songs on here. I actually preferred Weezer's delivery on this one in terms of both Rivers' songwriting and his vocals. And the rest of the band does a good job, and yeah, once again, I think it's my favourite since Pinkerton. You know, if Pacific Daydreams taught me one thing, it's that if I'm enjoying an album, I really shouldn't be too quick to just hop onto the next release, because this one just ran right through me, and none of the songs really made any impact, well, except for Feels Like Summer, and That's Not a Good Thing. The Imagine Dragon approach that they took on that song just does not suit Weezer's whole motif and what people see in them. So, is it the worst? No, but I definitely won't be returning to this one. So it seems at this point that Weezer will do literally anything to achieve a mainstream popular hit, and this time it's just covering other people's famous songs. Seemingly sprung out of a meme, the end result is fine, but covers like Billie Jean and Tainted Love, where they try to add a bit of that spice and attitude, they really fall flat on their face because it's Weezer and they can't really do that too well. And this really helped me understand what I personally get out of this band in terms of enjoyment, at least through this look-through of their albums. When they do the softer, childlike, nostalgia-based stuff, like, say, the Tears for Fears cover, or Mr. Blue Sky, they succeed wonderfully. But when they get dangerous, it feels weak to me. And With this sprung seemingly around the force of meme power, I half expect them writing a song in the future called My Name is Chungus. Black Bad. Wait.
Sorry, you're cancelled.
Prince, The Dad, Metallica, I can't really speak for Jay-Z, but regardless, they all made better Black albums than this. Admittedly interesting experiments, but the general lyric writing with the swearing and the party dude attitude, it doesn't really sound right coming out of Rivers Cuomo's mouth. And once again, this feels very tired and cliched and rather just forgettable in general. Okay, Human. This seems to be quite a divisive release, but I quite like this one. Hell, I'd say I even loved it more than Blue, but that's probably illegal to say that. With context, I've now been able to see the sort of trajectory that this band has taken, and without any rose-tinted glasses, I don't really have any fondness for the first two albums. So yeah, I would consider this a personal favourite because it feels so much more natural, the album flows really well with one song into another, and the style that Weezer's done, where they've just removed the guitars and just replaced it with these really gorgeous strings, I think that overall this has really reinforced the idea that the kind of Weezer I prefer is where they feel like they don't need to be a big rockin' party because, well, everyone else is doing it. So yeah, I really enjoy the more laid-back Weezer. I wonder what we're having next. Alright. Well, they're now in my territory because I'm a metalhead, and this is the Rivers Cuomo Project, foraying into hard rock and heavy metal, and in doing so they were inspired by Black Sabbath, Metallica, Kiss, and Van Halen. The most vanilla choices imaginable. Yes, I know Rivers said that these bands got him into writing music, but since everyone who writes heavy music is as well, then you better have something really interesting to say / do, more than the meat and potatoes it's looking like it's gonna be. Yeah, it's exactly how I imagine. Not bad, but it's essentially a normal Weezer release with louder guitars and a lot of out-of-the-place guitar shredding. The Metallica riffs in One More Hit and the blatant Crazy Train knockoff in Blue Dream don't stick the landing, especially when contrasted with Rivers' voice and singing style. It just felt really awkward whenever his voice came in. But there are some good moments, like the Van Halen biting end of the game, and I did have fun listening to this. So at the end of all of that, what's my verdict? Well, to be honest with you, I had a bit of fun doing this, and I'm planning on doing this with like other artists that I'm not familiar with or just don't really have much knowledge behind, like a couple songs. So yeah, I mean, it encouraged me to do more of this, so yeah, I'd say it was worth it on the whole. I've come away with a few favourites, some odd choices, I'll admit, but yeah, I'm somewhat looking forward to seeing what Weezer comes up with next. Yeah, there really wasn't much of a point to this video.